Sometimes philosophers or theologians miss the mark in trying to collaborate with scientists because they're just not clear about what they're saying. They don't have a very precise question. They don't have a sufficient handle on what it is that they're asking the scientists to provide. If you're trying to convince us who really may not understand what philosophy or theology is, who might not have a good handle on what benefits there might be in cross-disciplinary work, it's particularly on the philosopher or theologian to really present an opportunity in clear, precise language that presents to the scientist what it is that they're looking for and why it matters. That's something that's important to bring to this type of collaborative work.
We might think that the task of getting, especially human scientists, to a position that they're ready to contribute to theological inquiry, that then we need programs that are just going to focus on the human scientists. But there's still work to be done on preparing the theologians as well. We need some activities that are focused indeed on those scientists. We need some activities that are still preparing theologians to work better with the sciences and with scientists. But we also need projects that are going to bring both together, whether they are applied projects or whether they're basic research projects. So we encourage a funding strategy that includes both scientists and theologians, often working together.
The one thing I noticed really recently is how much a scientist who I felt we were struggling to connect and see how our projects would fit together was when I actually brought in another humanities discipline. So I asked them how historians had impacted their work, at which point they lit up and they just gushed about the goods that history had brought to their work as a psychologist. And I think for some psychologists that might be philosophy. Most people don't know what a theologian is. So when you say to a psychologist, oh, I'm kind of like a historian, except I have this particular interest in the history of Christianity or the intellectual history of Christianity or church history, or I'm kind of like a philosopher, but I'm just particularly interested in religious questions around philosophy. There's a lot more traction already. And a lot of the suspicions or just ignorance, just we even know what you do, so how can I connect with it, go away quite quickly. What I've really noticed happen a couple of times is when you have the initial meeting with the psychologists and the theologian, and in the second meeting, when people are feeling a bit more comfortable, the psychologists say things like, I've just really realized that theologians are like really smart, that you have this like intellectual capacity to draw loads of different things together, that you ask interesting questions, that you actually know loads of things about loads of different types of literature. It's like such a backhanded compliment, but I've heard it more than once. And that's a fun realization. Something that surprises the theologians often, I've noticed, about scientists more broadly, is how agnostic they can often be about even their own work, about what they know or what science can claim to know about their given field. Theologians often like, what is true? And the psychologist is like, well, I've been doing these studies that suggest this kind of thing, but we don't really know. And it's certainly not the big what is true question that the theologian was asking. I think that's really quite difficult for the theologian for a little bit of time, but I think creates a great amount of opportunity to suggest there's much more flexibility and equality in this interdisciplinary relationship than many people assume going in. There can be more playfulness because it's not just one person giving truth to another person.